I was like the smart kid. I got straight A's, you know, and so going to Yale seemed like the perfectly logical conclusion to that. In Yale, they say it's like the best education you can get. It's not a good education because it doesn't answer the most important questions of life, like who am I, where am I going, what's the meaning of life. So I graduated, I was totally adrift, just confused, and I was lost. In my search for meaning and afterward, I came up with this image of a frozen lake. The ice is the conscious mind, and below the ice is the unconscious, the collective unconscious, which is kind of the God force. And I thought, okay, so maybe the goal of life of all religions is to drill through the ice to reach the collective unconscious, which we call God or the energy force or something like that. If this makes no sense, that's because it actually makes no sense. But it made sense to me at the time. Well, one night I had this dream, and in the dream I'm standing on the surface, the frozen surface of Candlewood Lake in Danbury, Connecticut, where I grew up. And we're ice fishing, and there's a hole in the ice, and I look down and I see a fish sticking its nose out of the hole, which if you've ever ice fished, you know never happens. And in the dream, I look down and I reach down, I pick it up, and it's a pickerel or a pike. It's this bronze green color. But in the golden sunlight, the sunlight was bright, shining off of the ice and the snow, blue sky. It looked golden. So I'm holding it up, and then I realize in the dream that it doesn't look golden, that it is golden. It is a living golden fish, like something out of a fairy tale. And suddenly in the dream, it just kind of dropped into my head that God was speaking, and I realized that God has just one-upped me with my own symbol system. And he said to me, Eric, you wanted to touch inert water, to touch this collective unconscious. I have something more for you. I have my son, Ichthus, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, our Savior, a living person. In the dream, I suddenly realized God was speaking to me and telling me that Jesus is Lord. And I was flooded with joy in the dream. I knew that my search was over, that this dream was Jesus speaking to me about himself, using the vocabulary of my own heart. This idea I had, I'd never shared that with a soul. That would have meant nothing to anyone in the world. It just completely blew my mind. And I was just flooded with joy. The next day I went to work and I told my friend, and he says, what do you think it means? I said, I know what it means. I've accepted Jesus. And I never would have said that before. It would have made me cringe to say something like that, but I just knew that this was true. And that's 26 years ago. It just changed everything, and it was a true miracle. For me, the most important part of telling the story of my testimony is that God knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows us intimately, and he can speak to us in a way that it's individual. He doesn't just speak to us generally. This is not a one-size-fits-all, off-the-rack kind of God. This is a tailor-made. He wants to speak right to you, right to us, about what is on our hearts.